With RibbonToNotes, you can use your ribbon to play notes, chords, key switches, or even start tracks or arrangers. Playing guitar is really fun, but I always miss doing something with my left hand. Of course, you can play filter sweeps, and some people are really wizards with that. But I'd rather play notes or maybe even chords. I can try something like that, but that's not really convenient. I would like to play my notes and my chords on the neck, just like a real guitar. And of course I could attach some other MIDI controller to it to play some notes, but that's not really looking good. So what if I could play notes or maybe even chords using the already existing ribbon? And that's why I created RibbonToNotes. Let me switch it on. Now RibbonToNotes will translate the Midi CC of my ribbon controller into notes. I cannot just only play notes, but I can also play chords. I can even make my own chords by adding the right number, for instance an octave above it. The fact that you can play notes makes it also possible to play key switches. And this is not only convenient for a guitar, but also if you have a small MIDI controller with a ribbon attached. RibbonToNotes is loaded as a MIDI effect. At the top you will find the main settings. In the middle you will find a representation of your ribbon divided in different zones with the different notes. At the bottom you will find different presets for the notes in your ribbon. First we have to select the proper Midi CC of our ribbon. If you do not know the Midi CC of your ribbon, press Midi Learn and touch your ribbon. Now we can set the number of zones we want to use. And we can set the velocity for the notes to be played. The octave sets the range where the notes are played. For instance, if I set it to 2, then this C will be a C2. Octave works together with pitch mode to determine the type of note that is to be played. If you select pitch mode up, then each subsequent note will be higher than the previous note. For instance, if I select 2 C's over here, then in pitch mode up, the second C will be an octave higher than the previous C. But when I select in octave, then both C's will be in this case a C2. In normal mode, the notes will be sent to the same channel as your keyboard. But you can also select a different instrument by selecting a different MIDI channel. In this case I will select a bass. You cannot just play notes, but you can also use chords. There are predefined chords over here, for instance a power chord like this, or a major chord. You can also create your own chords by punching in numbers or changing the existing chords. For instance, if I press -12, that will give me an octave below the root note. You can also use Midi Learn. Select the patch that you want to change, press Midi Learn, and now punch in the notes that you want on your keyboard. And now it has learned the notes that I played on the keyboard. Your song might contain different sections, and so you can also create here different sections with each different chords for each section. You can switch between the sections using your MIDI controller. In order to make the MIDI settings for the sections to which they will respond, you will have to click on Show MIDI Controls. This shows to which note each section responds. It can also be a Midi CC. This is also true for the velocity. If I select it over here, I can select to which Midi CC the velocity should respond. Again, I can also use MIDI Learn. I click on MIDI Learn and I move the controller, and the velocity is learned to Midi CC 12 in this case. I can also set the range to which I want between which I want the velocity to stay, so it will never go to 0. And I can also set the top velocity, for instance 120. Now if I click on Show MIDI Controls again, we can see that when I tilt my instrument, that the velocity will change with the tilt of the instrument. Finally, there are 3 things that I would like to mention. The first is that if you change the note of the first zone, for instance from C to F, then all other notes or zones are transposed accordingly. And you can transpose it back by transposing the first zone. The second thing is that you can change the width of each zone. This might be useful depending on your ribbon. The third thing is that you can load and save all your settings using the menu here above. Well, that's all for now. Below you will find a link to the GitHub page where you also will find the installer files. Thank you for watching and let me know what you think in the comments.